Okay, next episode. I was working on this from about noon till 3 in the morning. Uh, Everything doesn't go as you planned. The cooler didn't fit, the new radiator was too fat for the case. This is the Meshify case. It would bump into the backside of these connectors before I could line up the screws with the slots. It would have worked if I drilled new holes, but figuring out exactly where to line it up and then knowing the holes had to be there, I don't know, it was just too much of a pain in the butt. I'll just get one that fits. In the meantime, I put my old Galahad 240 back in, just has the 220 millimeter fans. Thinking everything would be great. I even picked up the best thermal paste there is from Cryonaut. This stuff's more expensive, much more expensive than regular stuff, but it's supposed to drop your temps a couple degrees. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'll be good there. The guy at Micro Center gave me a little tip about this some performance mode in the BIOS that like auto overclocks your CPU for some reason. He said turn that off because that'll make it run a little hotter. So I turned that off. When I turned it on and went to use the computer, all the LEDs light up, of course, because I got that fan controller back there. But all of a sudden, my CPU temps were like 91C, like immediately. It's like, what? That can't be right. And the case fans are going like crazy. They're just cranking. So even though I had the fans set to quiet mode, they were just cranking like a leaf blower. I was like, what the heck is going on here? Like, I couldn't go to YouTube and just watch a YouTube video. The CPU would just spike temps and it wasn't coming on. So I thought I had the water pump plugged into the wrong place on the motherboard. So I get my manual out. I'm going through the whole thing, looking at the diagram. I'm like, that's pretty sure that's where I unplugged it when I pulled it out. So I plugged it in. I found another plug right here below the 24-pin input on the motherboard that said pump. I was like, oh, maybe that's where it's supposed to be. I'm sure that's where it wasn't, but maybe that's where the motherboard or the BIOS wants to find it, so it works correctly. So I plugged it in there. Nothing happened. Temps were still spiking. I changed the fans where they were plugged in a bit. Nothing. I couldn't get anything to make it run cool or the fans to slow down. So what I'm determining here is that I got a bad pump, and it intermittently works because it'll be like 91C, and I think that's as high as it goes because it would just pin right to 91. I hope I didn't fry the CPU. That's a very expensive CPU. That's a Ryzen 9. Well, I hope Leon Lee didn't fry my CPU, let's say. It's not my fault. But anyway, they said basically it's kind of a thing. After about 2 years, a lot of these pumps fail, and they're not known for their longevity apparently. So, but they have a 5-year warranty, so I just have to call them and get another one. I never wanted the 240 anyway. I wanted a 360, but Micro Center doesn't have a phone number because everything's on computers, and it was all delayed, and I couldn't get the one that I wanted anyway. I wouldn't even have to go through all this crap if I could just get the one that I wanted in the case. But anyway, that's all water under the bridge, I suppose. So I got 3 AL140 V2s. So I have one in the back, and it looks sweet. But I thought the front would only hold 2. So I got 3 120 millimeter fans, but I got space on top and the bottom. And then I looked up in the manual, and they're saying that the front can hold 340 millimeter fans. And I like the idea of running and spinning them slower for lower noise. And so I figured, okay, I'll get 3 140s for the front, and then I'll put the 120s across the top. So I picked up this cooler, the AS500 Plus. They had these on sale for $40. So this is like the opposite of a water cooler. Just straightforward and easy. I'll know if the thing isn't working because I'll not see the fan spinning, right? So, and it's white, and it has some RGB. Got a little RGB on the top. These are 140 millimeter fans too, so they'll be reasonably quiet as well, hopefully. So I'm going to drop that in there. Problem with that is that my graphics card, which I had mounted vertically in the case, won't clear the 140 millimeter fans. Everything is like, you want to make one change and you got to think 3 steps ahead to get everything else in line just to make the change. It's kind of crazy. But so all that effort and trips to the Micro Center to get the thing to go vertical, because vertically mounting a PCI Express 4.0 was very difficult because they don't make too many of those cables. They don't carry any at Micro Center. So to get the bracket, I had to go through all this crap. Then I needed extensions on my power cords, and it's just a huge hassle, all this stuff. So anyway, I'm going back to mounting it horizontally like a normal person so I can put the air cooler in there and hopefully that will work. So I'm kind of going old-fashioned, all air cooling. Forget this liquid stuff with failing pumps. Maybe at some point I'll get another AIO cooler like I wanted. We'll see how the temps go with this cooler. But they tell me this cooler will work fine. It's supposed to be able to get rid of the heat plenty well. So we will see. I'm going to get going on it though and stop rambling. Okay, it is now 1 in the morning. Better than 3 in the morning last night. But check that out. So big problem was the 140 millimeter fans. The 3 of them weren't going to fit across the front. The case manufacturer said 340 millimeter fans, but what they didn't allow for are these connectors that come out of the Lian Li fans, and then there's also the cables that come from all of this going across the front. There's no other place to run them, you know, because this is all hollow. So the cables are right up here in front of that fan. So it wasn't working. so this would have been too tall. So anyway, air cooled. I think I ran the cables about as clean as I could. Dual 8-pin SATA going to the graphics card. Got the black and white extensions, of course, Stormtrooper look. And I'm going to go turn it on and see how she lights up. These cables I tucked up as neatly as I could. I sync the RGB in this to the Lian Li controller. I'm not sure if that's controllable because that's not a Lian Li piece. So I'm not sure what the RGB will do on that or if it'll even work at all. But I'm going to find out. Everything should be functional. I had to find some parts because I took all these parts off when I vertically mounted it. So it took a while, as all this stuff does. Okay, well, here it is. It's one of the bajillions of patterns that it has. The interesting news is that the air cooler, CPU cooler, lights up with the same kind of colors and patterns. It's not a Lian Li, but I guess the RGB language must be universal. The one thing that doesn't is the Red Devil Radeon 6750, but it's likely because I just have that hooked up to the motherboard. So I think I'm going to have to try to figure out or find a long cable to get the video card synced and see if it will join the party. I don't know. Here, I'll try another pattern here. Kind of crazy. Now, there's a little break right here, and you see the bottom of one of the fans, and you see the front of the other fans. That's because I didn't want to do 340 millimeter exhausts and then a rear exhaust. I have to have the rear exhaust because the CPU fan's blowing this way, so I want the heat to go right out of the cabinet. But I didn't want to have 3 more 140 millimeter exhausts. Then I'd have a completely negative pressure situation because there's only 320 millimeter intakes. So right now, I split these two. So I've got these in separate zones. This one is putting air in, and the front 3 are putting air in, and then these 3 are taking air out. But I have the front on a little bit higher to the extra RPM, trying to offset the pressure a little bit. So you can have a slightly positive pressure case. Let's see if I can find one of these other ones. Let's see. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So the only issue with that is that the 3 on the top don't continue the pattern because there's a break there, and these are separate zones, and that one's reversed. So whatever. Let's see. Yeah, like the scan here, you see it breaks at that one. Anyway, I'm not here for a light show. I mean, I guess I am now. But I like the slow and kind of dimmer patterns. Let's see. Just some background ambience. Anyway, that's that. I'll keep working on it. The good news is that the CPU is staying cool. CPU's at 45 degrees C right now, which yesterday, just sitting here doing exactly this, playing with lights, it was at 91 C. So I hope I didn't cook anything on it. But it's sitting nice and chilly. So it's air cooler for now for me. I don't have to worry about pumps failing and stuff and liquid leaking or any other thing. But thanks for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one. Have a good one.